Welcome back, Overwatch fans, to another amazing night.
We have a fantastic match tonight, no question about it.
Oh my god, yes!
But the barrage! Make sure they can't even follow up afterwards.
And Watch is down 2 in this fight thus far. Make that 3, make that 4 right now here. Dynamic team gets a 4-man tire.
Those who find the picks will save the fights, and they don't really need to save what they've already won.
100 and 3 with the primal rage.
Experience tranquility.
And welcome everybody. Tonight we've got a special lineup for you. Carnage vs Battalion here at Overwatch Tranquility. Myself, my name is Dorian. I'm joined by the oh so wonderful and veteran here at Trank, Mr. Yeti. Yeti, it's been a long time since I've been in this booth with you. I've got very little idea what's going on outside of maybe what Strix and my roommate are doing. So I'm really excited to get back in this. You said it was a good match. You promised 2 really strong teams. So I'm expecting the best that Trank has to offer.
I think they're going to deliver tonight, Dor. I absolutely do. We got 2 amazing ones tonight. On a funny note, you brought up, it's been a long time since we've been casting in the same booth. I believe the last time we cast in the same booth, wasn't that Season 3 Harmony Tier Finals? I think it was something along those lines. Didn't that go 8 maps?
I think it did. Oh my gosh, all of us were involved. Yeah, Boost here. Man, we got the whole production crew, though. We
Exactly.
like 4 observers, 2 people on production. We got 2 casters. I give all your props to Booth tonight for putting this whole thing on. The observing's been amazing so far. And the game, like we said, deserves all the credit. Let's go ahead and start getting into this one, because these are 2 rootin' teams. Carnage coming in at a 6-0 to start things off up against the likes of Battalion, who are 4-2, but had maybe a little tougher competition.
Yeah, absolutely. So Battalion has 2 losses so far against the Decapitators and against Epizeuxis. Epizeuxis in stage 1 and up against Decapitators just last week in a reverse sweep from Decapitators as well. So Battalion's been dealing with some really tough competition. They've delivered in the matches they've needed to deliver in, but the matches that they should deliver in, I should say, but the matches that, you know, they needed to come up big against a really strong team, they haven't quite done that yet. This is another opportunity against Carnage. Carnage has looked fantastic all season. Obviously, with the likes of Dab Master and Gap on that team, you could definitely count on Carnage to bring a really strong DPS game to the table. But of course, they also have Apollo, who's been fantastic all season on that off-tank role. I expect to see big things from them tonight. This is Carnage's toughest game of the season so far. They did play Insidious last week. Insidious hadn't really had a huge showing up to this date, or up to date, however. And up in stage 1, they had Billings Boomers as well, a match featured on this channel that they looked great in. But again, we haven't seen Carnage take on what I would classify as maybe a top 5 or 6 team yet this season. This is their first opportunity to really go after a big juggernaut type team here in the Transcendence tier, and to finally make a statement. I think that their 6-0 record is far from a fluke. For Battalion, it's the opportunity to prove that, you know, they can rise up against some of the top teams right now. And without question, the result of this is going to be massive. And really, I think the result of this could define which team kind of settles into that 4th spot right now in that Transcendence tier behind Epizeuxis, Devil Dukes, and Decapitators.
Yeah, and just looking down the rosters, history-wise, you almost see this like Earth's Greatest Heroes storyline begin to emerge as all of Battalion is just Trank veterans. Whereas Carnage is coming in relatively new and has just rightfully taken over the scene. I'll start with Battalion, though, because these are the names that are most familiar to me, with Telemakin, Green Ninja, Raijin, who I believe is not here tonight. Not necessarily the oldest name in Trank, but still having a fantastic showing this season. To cap that off with Star Platinum Sushi and PDK, who I just can't stop hearing this guy's name, whether it's in Trank or in Tier 2. This team is stacked to the brim.
They really are. They are fantastic. You know, PDK obviously known very well in Tranquility for his DPS play over the past several seasons. However, now taking a look at PDK, he's transitioned over into that tank role because, well, quite frankly, his DPS climbed well into GM. But that tank role he's done well, and he's actually excelled in. He's been a fantastic tank all season. This is a really big opportunity for him on the feature match stage against a very strong team to really show what he's made of and show that he deserves to be kind of included in that top tier of tanks here in the Transcendence tier. But again, for Carnage, they're not exactly slouches on that tank line either. I've already talked about Apollo, but Ravage has played fantastic all season, and it's been a big reason why this team's 6-0. So I don't expect this to be an easy test for PDK either. But either way, it's going to be a heck of a competition tonight.
Tough run, and nowhere better to start it off than on Lijiang Tower, playing things on Garden to open things up, which is basically just the biggest clown fiesta that we possibly could have asked for. Opening thing. And with Rush up against All Diva, which is a very difficult time to run, we actually see very similar storylines here to what we see a lot of times in contenders right now, which is some teams want to opt for the Rush, which they know how to play much better and they can play much more cleanly. Some teams want to play the ball that they know gets more value, but is much more difficult to actually play cleanly and successfully. So the onus is really on Battalion here to show us that they can play this ball confidently.
And already paid off here. Big pick early on. But we see Nick now from Carnage. It looks like the turnaround is on here. We see Gap go in the water with a huge move from PDK there, Door. This one's not over.
I mean, we've removed a lot of the problem characters. With this Metro gone, there's not nearly as much of a damage threat coming at Battalion, so they can occupy this point and push in towards back to Star Platinum, starting to take an angle. Off-angling on the other side is the opposing DPS in air, and they're just picking away at the backline, one by one by one. The teleporter will help them get back in, however, is now the D-Max in for Apollo, and things get real messy on point.
Things are absolutely a giant, well, it's a bit of a cluster, like you just said, on this first point, no question about it. But right now, Battalion seems to be coming out ahead with Air putting in a little bit more damage. You see the barrage is massive here, Door, from Star Platinum, picking off 3. And Door, that was a fantastic way to end the fight. Battalion, the benefit of playing this composition is you just have the ability to take so many angles and just overwhelm your opponent's resources. Those first cooldowns are always going to work in the favor of Carnage, but after those first cooldowns are gone, like we ended up seeing, Battalion just took over. There was just too much pressure from all sorts of angles to deal with.
Yeah, I think you hit a really important point there, right? The longer these fights go, the harder they are for Carnage, and they might be here. Oh my goodness! 90 degrees plus! And he's the pulse bomb says, see you later, nerd. Puts him in his place and brings Carnage to a strong fight win.
We talked about Apollo as being a transformational type player here for Carnage, and what a transformational play. That could have easily been a fight to immediately go Battalion's way, but Apollo makes a massive play, and just what an impressive eat. It's
that was sick.
It's one thing for a Diva to do it when the Tracer blinks right into their face, but that was behind them. They turned 180 flick, insane play from Apollo.
He's just got like bad ears. He's using echolocation to move around the battlefield, listening out for pulse bombs left, right, and center. Even so, in a good position here with the Shatter and the Bomb. They've got a lot of tools to open up this team fight and crack this nut, and they absolutely have. Ravage not having too much success staying on the map. In a bit of a tricky position, but with no tanks for Battalion, unless maybe a miracle comes out from Star Platinum, a fight win doesn't really seem in the cards.
No, not quite yet, but I'm not counting out Battalion quite. You're not counting out. Actually, Battalion seems to be counting themselves out here, as they have gone ahead and reset. That Apollo bomb really kind of opened things up for Carnage here. Carnage right now is settling firmly into position. Oh, Nick, my goodness! And again, the benefit of this composition is if you use those ultimates early, the whole point of this ball comp is you want to try to pull up those resources and then attack. And we just are seeing right now that Carnage is just being aggressive early, forcing Battalion to have to respond to them, and that's resulting in Battalion not being ready to deal with that. Carnage right now is 60% Door. It's looking real good.
They're in a great position, but they only have one ultimate. 4 for Battalion, first of which is being used. It goes down. The next port in line is, in fact, Gap. Pardon, not for DPS. Here, waiting it out though. So here with the Pulse Bomb has the opportunity to end this fight right in place. So a Star Platinum, he's got another barrage and managed to find another nice kill onto Gap. The fight's not ending quickly enough though, and Battalion are running out of tools to win it. Carnage have found opportunities, have caught players out. First it's the Tracer, then it's the Diva, and now the Mercy falls. With that, the point.
And the point just falls immediately to, I mean, Apollo, I shouldn't phrase, pardon me, that Kip on that Baptiste picked off 2 there. And despite that ultimate coming in from Star Platinum, it wasn't a very effective ultimate, unfortunately. It didn't really find much other than that baby Diva. And it just didn't really accomplish the goal that Battalion needed. Battalion needed more pressure. They didn't get it, and Carnage took over.
Ooh.
Oh no.
I see it just lives up to his name for the time being. Here though, will back away. This fight isn't over necessarily. Ball confidence can be a little bit difficult to predict, but when there's an EMP on the field to pull the ball out of the equation, all of that things become a lot more difficult. And this goes back to the storyline that we were kind of talking about at the beginning of it all. Running this ball comp puts the onus on you. It is indefinitely harder. This is, in my opinion, and many other caster and like high-level players' opinions, the single hardest comp to play in the history of Overwatch. It's not even close. It's a dive composition with a roaming main tank that's constantly on the move. Setting up for these and coordinating these dives is beyond difficult. And Battalion, because they didn't have the space, Carnage weren't giving them any to work with.
Nope.
They weren't able to get that surround, come from those multiple angles that you were talking about earlier to actually find those successful dives.
And with Battalion, it just didn't seem like it was worth noting. Battalion does have a ringer tonight. Raijin, unfortunately, not here. They have Air in on the DPS, and that lack of communication, perhaps between Air and Helm on that wrecking ball, and PDK on that wrecking ball, could have been a huge factor for how this ended up working out. But right now, we're looking at both teams coming out instead on the Symmetra comp. It's the classic control center brawl here, Dor.
I do like the option from Battalion. The Doomfist is a bit more modern than running the Cassidy that Nick has, but it's not a bad choice nevertheless. And we do see the difference come out pretty quickly. The gap goes down, and when your Symmetra dies here, it's over. One player is done.
It's absolute, but that's just the nature of this match. Once you lose one, it's just over. The pressure's going to continue here from Battalion. They're going to chase them all the way back to the spawn door, as they should. But this is Lijon's Power Control Center. This is a formulaic match. It plays this way all the time, and we're seeing that right in front of us right now as BDK continues to keep pressure.
Looks like they want to speed top right, though, which should be relatively easy rotation here. They're not stopping him at the choke, though, which means that the white choke is where the fight happens. But a great TP by Carnage puts him in a fantastic place positionally. Now going into the fight, they have the high ground. They can start getting that sim charged up, as well as an amplification matrix of their own. The PDK beats everybody, their ultimate. An early grid flux puts the health bars down to half. And puts Carnage in the ground.
Tell Jay can. What tell Jay can't he do? That's all I'm saying. That was an impressive play from Helm setting that one up. And my goodness, PDK kind of set them up there, I should say. Tell basically did what the best bullets in the world did, set him up and knock him down. And Helm with the absolute strike there. That was impressive from Battalion.
I mean, going into this fight, you're in a better position. That one was so cheap, just having spent the tank ultimate. They have amplification matrix. They've got a wall. Coming up on a sound barrier, though, are Carnage, so they will have an engage tool to get in on this should they want to pop it. Waiting out the amplification matrixes, and now another zoning tool being used by Carnage alongside the sound barrier. A little weird. PDK gets caught slacking, and Nick's able to clean up two for that mistake.
And the point got flipped in the middle of that as well. Battalion not able to hold that point due to all the zoning being done by Carnage there. A really effective use of their ultimates. It is worth noting they used a lot of the tools that they had in order to get that point, but at 50%, you can't necessarily fault them here, Dor.
I think you're okay. You held on a sound barrier, or rather, you held on a sound barrier for your Battalion, so they get to come back in. Absolutely no problems in this fight. Look at all the space they get to get here as well. They have a teleporter. The shatters are 70%, so no teleport shatter plays inbound, but Starfighter can commit pretty heavily. Oh no!
Oh, no.
Gotta be a little careful here. You're expecting to get the Doom ult off of this combo, and you know what? He doesn't even pop it though. I think that's okay. Losing to Baptiste is really significant. They still have a massive advantage. One Atomic is happy to clean up off of it.
Exactly. Helm doing a fantastic job there. PDK with the Gravitic Flux as well to finish the job. And it looks like Battalion is going to turn this one around. Which works for me. Carnage did put 50% on this board though for them. They're well on their way towards closing this one out. But Battalion got them what they needed to do, and they have the resources sitting in the bank.
The CP being on the ground is actually relatively significant here, just because it's going to give them a way out. It also means that there's no opportunity for a TP shatter play, but I do expect those at this level, but not always the biggest opportunity. Instead, Star Platinum again finds an opener, and that's a fight. Done and dusted.
Fantastic play from Star Platinum with the meteor strike to close the deal. From the sky, Star Platinum with the impressive Doomfist play to kind of clean that thing up. And I mean, Battalion is doing exactly what they need to do. They got into this mirror composition, and they're just kind of winning on all the micro fronts right now. The macro is looking really good for Carnage, though. I expect them to come out strong here with the ultimates they have on hand. Ravage versus Helm, that's going to be a big moment here.
Now, final fight for Battalion. They would love to take this one to map number 3, and they will. Putting out a teleporter. They put themselves in a good position to do so. Pelican, though, just completely beats up on the likes of Ravage, who has nobody. 0 players. Gooses to help him as everybody else absconded to the other side of the point. But see you later. We'll take the scenic route onto map 3.
on the map 3 it appears to be, but I think we might have spoken. Yeah, we're good. You think that both healers worth noting down for Battalion right now. PDK looking to find a target to put into the sky and does. They turn around and see a couple on the ground here. Door that almost got a little dicey there for Battalion. They lost both healers late there. I thought Carnage had a shot, but PDK came up big.
I think that's what the kids call not even close. You know?
Oh, come on, man. PDK might say that, but that was, that was a little too close. I think Greninja and Sushi might have got caught sleeping a bit there, and this is the kind of match where you can't do that, Door. When you're playing against some of the top teams in this tier, you can't rest on your laurels. You got to finish the fight out, and quite frankly, right there, that could have been real close.
It could have been tough. That map, though, for me was really decided just by running the Doomfist alone. There's a reason why it's a significantly more modern take. Unless you're running a Hanzo or a Junkrat on the other side, there's not many things that can really stop it from moving forward, even a Cassidy. They're going to take that one into this map as we run the same exact mirror, but with Gap on a nade, maybe freeze somebody out. The wall does destroy the teleport, so it's going to have a great position for Carnage. And this is another one of those points, just like last. They're positionally getting there first puts you at a huge advantage. Keeps the Doomfist off the point, though. Starflight still does have that punch cooldown coming up in just a second. If the wall misses, Carnage are slowly running out of tools to keep the Battalion at arm's length. This is the engage we're looking out for, but the punch just connects on the Diva, catches a whole lot of metal, and not much of anything else until Apollo's able to clean things up because they're not going down so quickly.
And the problem is you talk about this point being so much more positionally important to get to that map first. I would argue it is probably one of the most important maps to have position on before the enemy team. We saw Carnage get there just before Battalion could get that teleporter set up, and it made all the difference here as Carnage now is in control of that point. Despite all the resources being exhausted there, all they needed to do was isolate out Star Platinum once they punched in, and it was just over. So well done there, Carnage. Here we go now.
Be careful. The Matrix on the outside. Oh, careful here. Yeah, you're walking right into the open arms. This is a difficult fight to win for Battalion. They're already, look at the health bars alone. They tell a story. Everyone's at half for Battalion, but a beautiful disengage does manage them at least to get those up by half, but they've already lost too much. They lose the big opener that they were looking for in Star Platinum, and thus they're going to take the fight away as well.
It's the same story, both fights. The Doomfist is getting focused down really early, and I think that's making all the difference right now for Battalion, or for Carnage. But Battalion is going to get a chance to soft reset here, Door, so we will see Carnage again having to defend off that Doomfist.
And it's difficult, but it becomes a lot easier when you have the lights of a blizzard in your hand. Shadow they come to a couple, but it's easy sound barrier from Sia. It's absolutely no problem. Bomb. Through the teleporter to figure out, with the blizzard no longer in play, with that having been eaten by Telemakin, this fight becomes a lot more doable for Battalion. Cleaning up one, make it two from Star Platinum, who finally has the shackles removed, and they can finally get a real contest on this point.
They finally did, but it was just kind of kill for kill right now. It's kind of being matched initially by Carnage, but it doesn't look like they are going to get the closeout here despite Star Platinum falling late. So Carnage right there got a great start on this point here. Ravage being chased back to the spawn there, not going to get the stagger out. But right now, it's again, position is everything on this map, and now Battalion has that point control, so now Carnage has to find a way to get back in there. They got good tools to make it happen here, Dor.
Yeah, especially with spacing ultimates like the wall and like a, some kind of amplification matrix to just keep people at arm's length with the range of that bomb. As well, sound barrier being up for Battalion is a huge tool for them in being able to deny this engage. The second Carnage step in, it's going to end relatively quickly. Should they use it aggressively? Greninja's holding on. Instead, trying to play off the back of the bomb, and it works! Ravage is down, the main tank's out, but so is BDK, and now things get messy. It's all about the DPS, but with Star Platinum gone, it's numbers up for Carnage. Nick remains alive with that beam ever present, with the only Symmetra remaining, the only one with damage is Air at the end of the day.
That was big right there. Air needed to perform in that situation. You lose both main tanks. It's all about the Symmetra at that point then in this kind of composition. They need to get that beam charged up, and they need to track their opponents down, and we saw Air just win the tracking war over Nick on that one. Nick switching to the Cassidy now, which is an interesting move, but I think probably the right one here if they're going to try to engage on this point. Cassidy just brings tools that can help out against that Doomfist as well for Battalion.
I don't know. The Cassidy was a great last map, and attempted shatter here. I like from BDK. It's a little short on the jump, but absolutely no problem. They still have a wall to hold this one on for a pretty long amount of time. I like this wall as well. It sections them, cordons them off to the back end to the point. But at the same time, they don't really use that wall. They walk right forward into the May, and without Air, this fight is as good as done.
That's a big self-destruct there from Apollo to try to get things going. He cues in, brings down Sushi as well. So Carnage finally looking like they're going to be settling in on this point here. But Battalion looking like a 99% right now for them. So, when it comes down to mission accomplished for Battalion, putting this fight certainly into one-fight territory. Coming back here is going to be a tough situation though for both teams. We don't really see any ultimates on the table other than Kip's amplification matrix. Battalion looking to try to build up that self-destruct here on the helm. You got to imagine it's going to be the big ultimate, but a lot can happen here, Dor. This pre-fight is going to be very big.
I mean, the amplification matrix, right? One fire strike changes the face of this entire map. Carnage will have the first go at it. Star Platinum, though, tries to engage despite the amplification matrix being up and the immortality field. That's a huge mistake, it turns out. And instead, now you're forced to go and knock you off the map. The PDK!
Oh my god!
Absolutely massive! Reinhardt sacrifices himself to the likes of Battalion, and the rest of them will reap what he has sown. Carnage go down, and Battalion will likely be taking away map number 1.
PDK clutches up in the time they needed most for Battalion. I am blown away. The former DPS Junkrat Wunderkind for Battalion playing the main tank role, and my goodness, was wreaking some destruction there at the very end. I think we might get another chance to see it here, Dor. But yes, here we go. Fantastic. I am so excited about this. What a great play here for PDK. Just the guts it takes to make that play at times too. Because sometimes we all know, well played Reinhardt. We know how it can be sometimes when you play Reinhardt.
That's a Junkrat player play. That's not a Reinhardt player play.
It is a Junkrat player play. It's all or nothing, baby. And that is a fantastic play there from Battalion here, picking up that first map. Scoreboard not reflecting the correct results, but we'll get that corrected here in just a moment. Battalion is currently up 1-0 after winning that one 2-1. I gotta say, I am impressed with the level of play we're seeing. We're seeing thoughtful, very thoughtful pre-fight, good engagements from both teams, really good micro play from both teams as well. It's just been, if this is a sign of things to come, I mean, obviously 99-99, 1-1. You can't ask for better than that, Dor. This is going to be a fantastic night tonight.
No, it's dead even, but there have been some standouts. I think there absolutely have been. For me, two of the biggest things seems to be the DPS hero pool for Carnage right now. Feels a little slim. I know you're running a Symmetra for a lot of that, and that might be your flex player, so you're kind of lacking that Hanzo aspect that you look for. The Junkrat as well on this map on Lijiang can be super duper important for being able to just put out enough damage to actually get through those Doomfist shields and help pressure down the opposing side's Reinhardt. The Cassidy really just doesn't do enough damage at this in 2022. Whereas Battalion have a really interesting tool, and Star Platinum being able to play this Doomfist really well. Even though it didn't have a huge impact on the second map, it pulled cooldowns, it lived for a good amount of time, and it did its job while having a massive impact on the map that it really, really mattered for, taking basically the entirety of Control Center by its own.
Exactly. No, I can't agree more with that there. I was really impressed with the play, particularly Star Platinum was just an absolute difference maker on so many engagements. And that's exactly what you look for in a Doomfist player. It's so easy for Doomfist to get caught out, especially at this level. You have fantastic players playing heroes with just really fantastic control. But we just didn't see that in that one. We saw Star Platinum getting the very crucial pickoffs. The Baptiste, I feel like for Carnage, was on the floor more often than not. It felt like at the beginning of these fights because Star Platinum
support in 2022.
I know.
Nutshell, man.
I know, man. It's just, I mean, but it's. We had this comment during the pregame, and I feel like it relates to what we're just kind of witnessing. Overwatch players are just so good now. They just seem to have just an understanding of the game. And it feels like we're kind of seeing that at a high level here with the way that these players are playing in their micro game right now. It looks like we do have one substitution coming in for Carnage. We are going to see Gusty coming in for Sia. Looks like on that main support role here is a small change for Carnage, bringing in a new look here from bringing in Gusty. Gusty, they've been fantastic this season. We've seen a lot of really good main support play. We saw that in the earlier match against Billings Boomers. They were a difference maker every time they were in that game. So I would expect Gusty to bring quite a fantastic performance to the table as expected here. But Carnage right now, it's all about bouncing back. This match didn't start off the way you want it to. Oftentimes these things can be all about that mental fortitude, especially at this point. Going down 1-0 can be really tough, especially in that close map. How do you bounce back from that if you're Carnage? You have to come out and make an impactful attack here on Hanamura. You have to come out and just really put it to Battalion. Play something you're confident in. Maybe run that quick brawl at there. Maybe run that quick Symmetra teleport composition here. Put the onus on Battalion to have to defend that off.
Yeah, I mean, regardless of composition, there's a lot of things that can work here nowadays, regardless of the Symmetra being played. Symmetra still gets thrown around a lot, I think, around the diamond levels, and sometimes you'll see upper, higher teams bring it out, and Symmetra is never a surprise to see in Trank. It doesn't matter what level. I'm pretty sure I've seen Masters teams put the top hat on the statue in King's Row before in Trank, so nothing's off the table. But for me, the big reason why I like this pick from Carnage is just that it limits Battalion so much. Battalion have really made their name so far in this match off being able to off-angle, whether it was with the ball compositions, whether it's with the Doomfist coming in from the side, whether it's with the Lucio finding a boot from the side. Hanamura forces them down one lane, down one choke. Even if you teleport to the point, you are putting your whole team in one place and you're taking a 6v6 fight, which felt like the fights that Carnage was a lot more comfortable taking, especially with Apollo's Diva basically just being a walking DM turret catching everything in its range.
Apollo was beyond impressive. So, I mean, so far.
That pulse bomb, it played in slow motion, I swear.
It did. I mean, that's just, I mean, I've been watching Overwatch at many levels for several years now, and legitimately that might be one of the better ones I've seen. And that's just not me being, having my Trank bias or anything like that. That's just impressive. That's just an extremely impressive thing that we just witnessed from Apollo. So, and to catch that on stream, you gotta love that. So that's a clip you can throw in that montage there for yourself, Apollo. Yeah. That's impressive.
I think one of my favorite divas that I've ever seen, one of the most impressive things, it was a Chinese player named Bins in Contenders. 10 pulse bombs and one best of 5.
Oh God!
But just like. I know, right?
My goodness.
One of the most absurd things I've ever seen, but Apollo's starting to rival it. That flick was nasty, and hopefully they can bring something to the table here. Another thing that I like about Hanamura is also it feels really good for Nick and Gap. Gap's hero pool, we haven't really gotten to see too much of as of yet, but I suspect that it's going to work out pretty well here. A lot of time on Hanamura, things like Ashe Torbjorn come into play. I honestly really like Ashe Torbjorn, especially at higher levels, but Ashe Echo absolutely can do it, throwing out the same amount of damage, giving you that same really scary projectile spam ability, whereas Battalion can lock in something a little bit different, but we'll see if they come out with it.
We're getting some pulled pork. I kind of want to see it as Battalion is doing the proper business in the Hanamura arcade. They are making sure that no arcade machine remains unpunished. I believe this is what they call good juju in the business. In order to do such a thing, I strongly recommend that for all of your games. You're guaranteed to get at least one more attack on Hanamura and get one full cap if you completely wreck the arcade. That's true. That's my word, my personal guarantee. And if you don't like, if that's not, you can have all the money you spent on that back.
You're such a kind and merciful deity, Yeti. You know that?
That's what people
looming
say.
Over everybody's head. Anyway, speaking of looming over everybody's head, basically half of Carnage's comp, they swapped onto Ball Diva, something they were very, very scared to run in the last map. And I'm kind of questioning here. It works here, but having not seen it out of them before, especially with the support comp, it makes sense because you have an Ashe, but this is a composition that wants to do a lot of things. It wants to poke the Echo Ashe, it wants to dive with the ball, but there's not exactly the most follow-up in the world. The Ana can get focused down should she be pushed onto, especially by Star Platinum, and pull her out of position at basically any given point in time. But that doesn't seem to have stopped Battalion from walking forward onto this point. They're here, and nothing is going to get in their way.
The risk that you run into running this competition is just not finding any pickoffs, not being able to set up on the angles strong enough here to be able to force Battalion to not want to push the point. Battalion just kind of saw all these things flying around and kind of shooting at them, but with this competition, they didn't really care. They just kind of walked to the point and put all the pressure on Carnage to have to actually execute a play. Carnage just didn't execute. Battalion, they just were in a great position here, Dor.
The comp just doesn't make much. Usually, when you're poking, when you're playing for a pick, you want something that's going to be able to keep them at arm's length. Nothing stops Battalion from walking through this choke, and now you're left with a really tough decision. Do you swap? Do you stay and keep your ultimates? I think swapping's suicide here, but staying also doesn't feel too hot.
No, staying on this point, especially running this composition, can be really brutal. I don't necessarily love it here, but we'll see what happens. The Battalion setting up.
They've got the Animatrix as well to bolster this, to really take that high ground away, but Carnage seemed to have found all of the angs. A huge dynamite from Nick opens things up, and with all that damage in one place, you can't help but go down.
No, exactly. That was a tough one for Battalion there. The problem engaging in that way is if you eat a dynamite there, you eat a big dynamite or a couple of sticky bombs, suddenly your whole team is incredibly low. It's just too much pressure to go through that little gap there. And unfortunately now for Battalion, you're staring at a billion ultimates on the side of Carnage. They themselves have a few ultimates on the table here as well, but you know, this composition can be really tough to use some of these ultimates onto. So I expect Battalion to have a hard time.
There's a lot of ultimates. This can turn into a kitchen sink situation very quickly as we see the faucet begin to start dripping. Nick goes down, and that's a huge tool. Now basically gone from Carnage. A lot of the reason why you wanted this high ground to begin with, why you used so many tools to hold on to it, was because you had that Ash, was because you wanted to set her up. Those two trades come back in, and Gap's able to take down air. Also, neither side is really happy about this high ground situation. The longer it goes, the better the spawns are going to be for Carnage here, so the time is really ticking, and I'm pretty sure it's about to run out on Battalion.
Yeah, the problem is Battalion's just not finding enough. You have to find something very conclusive on a 2CP map, but we're just not seeing a conclusive fight win right now for Battalion. And that's the hard thing when you're facing this composition. Is this is such a spread out composition and so many different teams. It's tough to find a conclusive win in any fight here, but we're seeing a conclusive win now, I should say, as Air tries to turn this thing around. There you go. Oh boy.
You can get this all you want. There's 4 more people.
Oh god, you're not wrong. 2CP lol. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's like 3-4 people, but it's only one hog, and there's a defensive matrix on the other side. Look, dude, we're ripping time off the clock. We came in with like 5.5 minutes into this fight.
Yeah.
We're at 3:30. Battalion, just call it, please. Please, thank you.
Yeah, Battalion finally relents, and that's what they got to do. They have to back off on this one. I don't know why they didn't back off earlier. They did miss an opportunity there. PDK did get a couple picks. You probably, if you're in the shoes, we've all been there. We've all been in the shoes of that off tank or that DPS player, picks off a couple. Oh, it's winnable, winnable, winnable. And then it's just, no, it's not. Anybody with eyes,
great, but,
it feels really good, but it's just not. It's just not going to happen. So Battalion gonna have to mix it up here, Dor. And I like the changeover to the Hanzo. I think that's a good thing.
I mean, you need something like this, because what you don't have is ultimate. You spent them all last fight, and Carnage only built theirs. Carnage didn't overcommit. That was one of the most impressive parts about it. Now, 98%, 80%, 90% on the ultimate charges. Mine's going to be thrown on the high ground. Immediately a huge anti-nade. Dear Lord, Kip!
Kip, I mean, it's a difference-making type play like that. It's just one play is all you really needed there, and Carnage just had it easy on the follow-up then because of that insane play. Gap, maybe, gotta be a little careful, watch your head there, Gap, but nonetheless, I mean, it's just set up by Kip. Like, Kip gets that huge nade, and it comes off the heels of that huge proximity mine from Rabbit, and it's too much for Battalion to deal with.
Battalion, I mean, despite taking their sweet time here, they haven't built up. It's basically just a whole hog.
Oh my god, another nade.
If they can establish on high ground with the whole hog and then pop Ant Matrix from there without losing too many players, then maybe you put yourself in a good position. But this shield isn't going to last long enough for any amplification matrix to find a reasonable value. They'll try to throw it out anyways, but look at this. Top angle by Gap, immediately punished. The anti-nade's free because the shield doesn't exist. You've got too much damage coming at this. Matrix has already been stalled all the way out. It's had no effect, and all this time, Battalion has been taking poked in.
It happened, and Gap is just pushing so hard. Kind of a solo Echo type play, just kind of on his own. But the pressure from the off angle has just been too great, and Battalion hasn't been able to answer it. And they continue to not be able to answer it. They hit Gap on the copy form. It didn't make a difference. That was just a fantastic play there for Gap on the off angle. And to the healer's credit as well, you got to keep him up through all that pressure. And Gusty and Kip did exactly what they needed to do. And on top of that, Kip is still hitting those biotic grenades, Dor.
It's getting out of hand, man. Battalion is starting to come on ultimate go. They'll have 4 for this fight, including the Dragon. Rally will allow them to sustain and get on the side ground so they need or finish off the point. There's so many ways to use these, and finding an opening pick onto Gusty is absolutely what you want to start things off. Telmakin going down, it's like you could keep going, but I think Battalion with this time bank, yeah, you get one more fight here. Maybe you try to exist up here, but you're not trying to push for too much. Oh, Lord, they are. Oh, we're rallying.
You smoked a little too soon there, Dor. The rally comes in.
They're not going anywhere.
They're just standing there. What is this rally?
Oh my god. But they rallied to get Bob armor, dude. Yeah, it's taking down Nick. You just don't get anything else. Air's Aang is not nice enough. They're not pulling tanks down to the point to make this Aang valuable.
Oh.
Ant Matrix again. Same high ground, but now you're working like 90 degrees. It still works, but Death from Carnage is relatively easy. They have found the space to move forward. That's the best thing we've seen out of Battalion yet on this point, but they're running out of gas. The only ultimate left now is the Devo. Carnage will be coming up on mines relatively soon. Bomb is thrown out. That's 2 ticks down. Carnage now coming back. The Diva to start things out with 8 seconds. Ravage will be coming back. Mine soon. And time is of the essence. Battalion needs to find these picks quickly or else.
Battalion still trying to fight on this point here. Now we see the trickle now from Carnage, but Carnage is not necessarily finding any crucial kills here on any critical target. Star Platinum picking off Gap there as well, coming on the Tracer, and you got to give it to Battalion despite some very kind of traditional choices here. In the end, they got the job done, and it's questionable. And some of the ult usage is certainly questionable there, without any doubt. That rally, not maybe the best play. A lot of that was kind of a bit of a struggle bus, it seemed like, there on some of the ultimate choices. But in the end, you can't argue with the results. And sometimes, the traditional could you can throw an enemy's tempo off. You can kind of catch them a little off guard. It looked like Carnage just got caught a little bit in the cookie jar on some of their aggression after those ultimates. And we saw Gusty go down early, and that's a frustrating kill there for Carnage. Losing your main support that quickly, especially your resurrecting main support, can really just kind of almost almost made those ultimates seem good. And I don't know that they were, Dora. I don't know. It's a tough spot there for Carnage once you lose that main support.
You could hear the confusion in my voice when they kind of played footsies up on the high ground. I was like, it looks like they're going for it, but it looks like they're kind of half committing, and then the half commit did happen. But you got the point. I can no longer criticize what happened on that side. They got the point. The buck has been passed, and now Carnage has got to get there, and at least before overtime, if they would like to trigger a proper overtime, or with more than a minute, should they want to force this thing to a draw or lose situation for Battalion.
Now, I will say, I did make that guarantee at the outset about breaking all the arcade machines, gets you a guaranteed 2-point cap. I'm just saying, maybe that was the good karma they built there. It might have been the thing, Dora. I'm just saying.
Yeah, there's definitely some hijinks happening in that final fight. That was unnatural. But speaking of unnatural, Carnage have gotten to this point with unnatural pace, closing the gap. Oh god, this is
wow.
Helmikin is screwed. Helmikin is so unbelievably. God. Still damage. Star Platinum is right here. There's a reason why you run this far. That you were kind of hoping for the Orisa signal to exist on point. A little bit longer, but as long as the far exists, the fight is not over. Sushi going down. Star Platinum follows though. That's it. No Farah, no point for you.
No Farah. I think that's what's over here for Battalion, unfortunately. But I mean, it is actually. There's the point cap, I got to say. But Carnage, I mean, the speed, the raw speed they got to that point. Battalion just couldn't set up quick enough, despite losing their supports. Carnage still just with that quick setup time. Oh. Well, you didn't see that from him. I'm sorry. That's unlucky. That's just not.
You know what they say. You gotta, when you're playing defense, you gotta take time off the clock 10 seconds at a time. Precisely what's happening.
There you go. That 10 seconds squarely in the favor of Battalion there. Carnage though has over 5.5 minutes here, Dor. The time is everything right now for Carnage as they push onto the high ground here. The Reinhardt now being matched by Talon, and I think that's the right choice here.
Yeah, I mean, main's not a bad choice, especially when you have something like Symmetra. You can kind of just TP up there, but the high ground threat that Air would create if they were given that high ground for free, difficult situation. That feels like ill usage, especially when there's immortality field back up. One more good Flux to try and recontest this high ground. PDK, oh my god!
Oh boy, PDK!
Dude, I just watched this. I don't know how old PDK is, but I'm gonna say child, just chat up. That was big boy plays, dude. That was.
Hey, PDK is about to get his driver's license. Let's cut him a little slack.
Yes. Is he actually? That's awesome.
Congratulations. I know, right? Yeah, but the PDK, I mean, like I said, he's getting his driver's license, but he absolutely drove over Carnage on that one, and that was that was
a wreck. That's what it was.
That was a wreck. Yeah, PDK, if you drive like that normally, you're not going to get your license, buddy. Hate to break it to you.
They should be all right for this fight, though, as they do have a lot of tools to support ultimates, and a Bob are great at contesting this high ground. And for Carnage, the difficulty is how you use these ultimates. Shatter's not free. Like, what's Ravage gonna shatter here? What's Apollo gonna bomb here? Well, I mean, Gusty sound barriers maybe the Bob at most, but you have to close the distance and you have to force Battalion to walk into you in order to use these ultimates. And when you're playing Ashe, Pharah, Sigma, nothing is going to force you to walk into the enemy team because you just don't want to.
Exactly, and I don't like the composition that they're running anymore, given what we're seeing from Battalion. They're going to take it to this high ground again. I feel like if you're Carnage, you give this one good shot. See if you can catch Battalion sleeping, which they have done, to their credit. But I don't know if that's the right composition. I'd like to see them make some changes here after this fight.
They're going to try and shift the high ground, dive left. It's not going to work. This wrap isn't bad. I actually do like this because now you're going to force the likes of Battalion tank to go into the point. You see the Sigma's down there. Telmakin's going to be in range, but with those come dangerous ultimates. This fight now lies on a knife's edge. Sound barrier used to counter the Griddick Flux as the Blizzard comes out. This is what we were talking about. They're forced into this position and it works beautifully. The Bob, however, is starting to make a little bit of a difference. Chipping away at the shield and opening the door for Star Platinum to finish things off. Battalion hold true despite the smart push from Carnage.
Carnage did a really good job there, but Battalion came up big, forcing some big ultimates out early from Carnage. You know, PDK with that big lift got Gusty to use that ult right away. It put them out of position when Gap used that Blizzard, so Gap couldn't really capitalize on that Blizzard as well as they wanted to. And because so much attention was focused forward, Star Platinum was just very easily able to flank in, get a huge 3K on that barrage, and the fight was over at that point. But really, the fight was pretty much over once PDK got that initial lift. It set up that moment there for Battalion.
Now we have quite an opposite fight, right? No ultimates on board. Ravage has the only opportunity, even within eyesight, of finding a big play here. But if they can set the Cassie up on the high ground, that Deadeye could also be very valuable. Trying to contest it, Telmakin doesn't stand much of a chance because the positioning of Battalion's a little off. They're trying to hold on to this high ground. Actually, no, this isn't off. I like this a lot. PDK being up on this high ground with Air is actually so sick. There's no ang that you walk in here and you're not at 50-50. Star Platinum gets one side, Air gets the other, and isolating down this main tank as long as Telmakin just keeps running away. Like, he tried to charge. Trying to run away. That's the only thing you can do, though, is run. But you can't hide from Ravage. Puts him in the dirt, and now all of a sudden it becomes difficult for Battalion because you have to throw DPS at the point. Air starts walking in, PDK starts walking in, and things are starting to fall. The House of Cards begins to crumble as Carnage start taking up this point. That's 2.5 now, but the spawns are coming in for Battalion, and they seem fast enough. Telmakin connects the meaningful one to end things.
That was a big charge at the end. PDK, though, found 4 in that engagement. Worth noting again, PDK Sigma has been unbelievable in this match so far. Has made several crucial plays for Battalion, setting things up for them. And again, picking up 4 kills on that engagement. The trades continued. Again, we talked about decisive fights. We needed to see a decisive fight from Carnage, and I don't know that this composition is capable of completing a decisive fight against Battalion.
Not with 5 ultimates up on the board.
Yeah,
they don't have the time to pull the same routing that they did either. So even this Blizzard, until they find an opening pick on one of these tanks, are able to close the gap. And again, with PDK rather, just backing away. There's nothing that they have to worry about outside of this ultimate. It is powerful up here. Do they take the same routing? Do they full wrap it? Oh no, May tripped and fell. They do manage to save themselves though, do get all the way up onto the point. Air now with this off angle. This is where things get a little bit dicey. That Blizzard's in hand, but they're not able to isolate the targets quite well enough. Carnage trying to pick off one. That's a second, but the Bob is now in play. Frozen up and taken down though is Nick and Gap. No DPS left for Carnage. That's the fight.
That is the fight, but PDK picking up another one with another Gravitic Flux.
Even when this guy's playing off tank, he's playing DPS.
Exactly. He cannot be contained right now. And look at the stagger now. Poor Apollo.
Well, now with 30 seconds.
Oh, you hate to see it. And PDK gets the kill at the end. Door, this is a critical moment right now for Carnage. They will have ultimates coming back, but we talked about how that Earthshatter is so ineffective against this composition. Really, the only people you can put on the ground are Telm and PDK, which can be helpful, but it hasn't been really that so far. Right now, Carnage is just in big trouble here, Door.
This is a little worrying. 8 seconds. Where's the touch here? I actually kind of struggle to see the touch.
Diva's coming in.
Diva? Okay, there you go. Okay, I mean, it's a DMAC already, though. It just sucks. It doesn't feel good. Carnage have to walk in through main. Star Platinum has high ground. Air has high ground. One of those has been removed, but so is Gap. And the high ground remains in their control. Air's in place. As long as Air is alive, this is not a winning fight for Carnage. It is just a massively difficult problem for them to solve, especially with PDQ and Telmakin staying alive for the entirety of that fight. Great job by the supports for keeping them up, and great positioning altogether by Battalion for how they approached those fights in general. Just had a fantastic read.
I love what Battalion did there. That was the positioning was everything. We talked about how ineffective it rendered the composition here from Carnage, but positioning be damned in the end. In the end, if you just perform like PDK, it doesn't matter what your positioning is.
Look at this dude.
He just is playing out of his mind right now. He's playing like he's got something to prove, and I feel like maybe he does feel like he has something to prove tonight. And I am absolutely blown away by the performance of PDK right now. Has been showing just absolute star power here in this matchup. But all of Battalion is showing, they showed a really effective macro sense in that last map. And they just showed a really big understanding of positioning and compositional control. And that can be a huge difference maker here. It felt like despite the fact that Carnage was close to getting that, they had 2 ticks, it didn't really feel like they were that close, Dor. And I think that's the amazing thing to me.
That's one of the things that you get in these higher level games, though, is fights that look close but aren't. Right?
Yes.
You're making every time you see a team walk in like that, right? Battalion had like God knows how many ultimates in that final fight.
Right.
And Carnage, yes, they got a couple kills and they walked in, but you trade walking in quickly for walking in with a good position.
Exactly.
And then you're stuck in a 4v4 with an Ashe on the high ground that you have 0 way of removing. And all of a sudden, this fight, it looks even. You see the numbers, and everything sounds good. And you look at kill feed, and you see a little bit of red in there. But it's a trap with these teams. They're willing, it's a honey trap that they're willing to bait you in with on these points and then punish you later.
Absolutely, and it's really awesome to see this high level of play right now. We're seeing Battalion show why they've been considered to be, despite a 4-2 record, we're seeing why they have been shown to be just one of the more dominant teams in this tier. For Carnage right now, 6-0 record on the line. They have a big task ahead of them. Come back against Battalion, who looks absolutely possessed tonight, to show what they're made of, to show that this high ranking they've been given by the community is deserved. But we'll see what happens, Dora. We're going to have 10 minutes to come back, and we will be back just after that break with more amazing Transcendence tier action.
System of failure.
And welcome back. We speedrun the second half here. We got a map already loaded up, so it's time to talk about things really fast. Yeti last half was dominated by Battalion. Their comps looked better. Their play looked better. PDK just looked better every single time. Carnage has got to come back. I hope they bring new compositions to the table. What are you looking for?
I didn't hear any of that. That was way too fast, bro. Slow it down. Slow it down. I think.
Did we reset? Okay, we reset the game.
Reset.
Okay, no more rush.
Reset. Everybody calm down.
Rush. Relax.
No
I'll
rush.
put my feet up.
All we know right now is
great.
two things. We're heading
Okay.
to Blizzard World, and apparently Booth's house is about to get hit by a tornado. So, yeah. So Booth, right now, if we
Okay.
hear sirens, just know that we're screwed, and we'll figure it out from there, everybody.
That's right. We have 4 more producers in the wings.
Exactly. You know,
to replace them.
We'll figure it out, guys. We'll do it live if we have to. I don't know what's gonna happen, but we'll deal with that when the time comes. But right now, all we do know is Booth's about to go full Wizard of Oz on us, and otherwise, we're watching Carnage down 2-0 against Battalion. It's been one of those matches that's been very interesting. Score-wise, the maps have been kind of close. Battalion looked a lot stronger on the last map, though, despite that close score line. But I will say right now, if you're in Carnage shoes, Carnage, looking at that first map, I think first map they looked a lot stronger, a lot more convincing in how they were playing. I would like to see them kind of bounce back here, get those mentals back in order after a really tough halftime, and we can see if we can get better here and see if things get improved for Battalion. So, I'm sorry, before Carnage, coming back out, they brought back in Sia, and they brought in Dabmaster as well in for Gap. So Dabmaster now in. Dabmaster, Sombra, very, very strong hero as well. For Battalion right now, it's just stick to what's working. Stick to this ball composition. Stick to what you're comfortable doing, because it's just kind of been working. No matter what they've been running, the compositional difference has been really, really big.
Yeah, I'm a little worried about the ball comp. It looks shaky on Gardens. Let's put it that way. But regardless of that, Carnage are locking in something different. Still, I look at it, and it's not like, obviously we don't expect everybody to play full meta here, but 6-man operates on this composition that they're locking in, where Lucio, Winston, Diva, 6-man generally considered, kind of operates on the premise of being mini goats, and you really need the damage to back that up. That's why Reaper is practically mandatory for this composition, but instead opting for Sombra Tracer is going to force them into a position where they have to find picks a lot of the time, something that's easier said than done, again, because you're lacking damage. Battalion, clean them up for that. There's just not enough to finish off the players on the side of Battalion. They're paying the price for it.
Exactly. It's compositional difference right now here for Carnage. Running the 6-man with a Tracer Sombra is, I don't think, the right look here at all. And Air kind of made a big difference there, picked off a few, and we're going to see Battalion just immediately in control here. 5 minutes and 30 seconds on the clock, and it's all Battalion right now. Continuing that strong momentum.
It feels like a small difference in like the grand scheme of things and like how much that one pick matters, but like it's super important. And I mean, the rest of Carnage comp, like it makes sense on paper, but it's just the small little details that you miss out on. And now they are completely surrounded. Running an Ana now with this, which I do like a lot more. It turns this composition from 6-man into just a Winston dive. You can farm up that nano, you can play off the back of it, but that still doesn't change the fact that Battalion have a lot of space to work with here. Now approaching, encroaching on this high ground, and Kip can feel the walls closing in around them, having to creep forward even into the welcoming arms of Star Platinum.
And Star Platinum finds that big one there. Battalion right now is just in a controlling spot, it seems like. Carnage is trying to find a way to kind of stem the bleeding a little bit here. Right now, Battalion just has this kind of strong map control right now. And we see Apollo sitting on the high ground. There's just so much pressure coming at Apollo here. It's almost like they don't know where to turn here, Dor. And you got to be impressed with Apollo.
Oh, come on.
He just finds another one. You know why not?
Casual about it.
It just makes it look so easy.
That's a tough one too, because that was amidst a 45-second plus fight. You're tracking ultimates throughout all of that. That's just either that or it's off reaction, which is arguably even cooler. This now has enabled Carnage to move forward with the nano that Kip charged up. This is exactly what I was talking about. This on a pick really enables your Winston so much more, because you don't have that the damage of the Reaper. Enabling your Winston's kind of the next best thing.
Exactly. Battalion is going to push in here.
Ooh,
however,
that's a miss.
That's not exactly what you want to do there, especially losing Telm there briefly. Had to use a self-destruct to get back in. And here comes the rally now from Sia, pushing through. So its fight is not quite over here, but if you're Battalion, the ult usage, again, questionable on this one. And we saw that in the last map, and Carnage this time does punish them for that questionable map usage.
Yeah, you bring up something that we talked about a little, but it has really gone under punished, I suppose, by Carnage. Has been Battalion's ultimate usage. It's been pretty poor. They've just kind of made up for it in compositional understanding, but you can find yourself in some tough situations now that Carnage is going ahead.
Absolutely. Carnage right now feeling a little bit better. They're getting close to another nano boost too. It's worth noting. And that, I think, is really, I mean, you talked about how that nano boost can be so critical in this fight overall. It sets up Ravage to do quite a bit. We see Ravage probably is just in a great position to just be an absolute menace, and it's really Ravage Battalion here with that ultimate in hand, and Kip just kind of pumping the heals their way. You gotta feel pretty good about the situation right now, but Star Platinum is looking to get in there and get some punishment, and we see that ultimate now from Star Platinum as well.
And with that's the only ultimate the Battalion has. We should also remember Air's coming up on a pulse. Maybe you get the line to the middle of this fight. It is taking quite a long time, but Carnage looks so much more organized, right? The Brig being thrown in here. It does force out a nano onto the Brig, which is not exactly what you wanted, but it's going to keep Carnage alive for the time being. That's not enough, though. Sports got separated away. Battalion are able to jump on top of that. Now just needing a few more picks. A good pulse bomb could do it, and it'll take out Sia as well. Carnage slowly being put on the back foot as they struggle to find their footing in the mud. Battalion bolster their attack, are able to move forward, and are now pushing on to the end of point C with a rally in hand.
And Battalion right now finally has a little bit of control here, pushing in. We see the big biotic grenade. Kip has been just hitting huge biotic grenades tonight, but that one just didn't really obviously make any difference there. A parting gift, if you will, from the point 2 spawn room from Carnage. But now Battalion, 3 minutes 30 seconds on the clock, Door. You gotta be feeling really good. And watching Kip, well, unfortunately go back to the spawn room here for Carnage, it just means, again, this fight's gonna continue to drag out, and it looks like Ravage now is kind of getting caught out a little bit, but he is gonna get out. This is just really good pacing right now from Battalion, just keeping the pressure on. They're not letting Carnage get set up.
Oh, and losing C was probably the worst person they could have, right? That's the rally gone.
Right.
Nothing's going to enable this blade. A lot of times you're just not going to nano blade these days. Not that great. That bastard, yeah. You go in, you go for one. Nice. That's all the value you want for.
Yep.
That's what I call a sparkle blade. Dallas Fuel did it a lot this season.
Yep.
Literally just throw in a dry blade. Yep. Just kill yourself for the Ana and then call it a day. Yep. And it works perfectly fine. Now look at this. Yeah. They're in a fantastic position to push back through because there's no main heals. You just have to give it up.
Exactly, and that's just it's the perfect trade. You know, Genji can be such an inconsequential hero so often, but when you have that blade, if he gets the guaranteed 1-for-1 on a main healer, it's over, and that's all you need. So huge play there, well played from Dabmaster.
And it puts him in a great position for this fight because now you have the nano to throw onto the Winston, which you don't even need to use because they found an early pick, but it was there if they needed it.
Well, of course, Star Platinum gets caught out there and finished off as well, and again, right now, Carnage feeling pretty strong. They gotta be feeling good. A little bit tough there. Nick does get caught out, which is unfortunate, but it's a tracer, so it will be back quickly as well. And Kip is sitting on that nano, and you gotta figure it's gonna get in the hands of Ravage here at the earliest possible opportunity.
Almost 100%. They have backed up a bit, so they lose a little bit of space on this engage. In fact, this engage for Ravage is much tougher than it should be because they started backing up. Yeah, this just became a little bit difficult positionally for Carnage to play into because of a nice dive from Battalion early on. But now Battalion are running out of tools. Only a pulse bomb up, and without Greninja here, the push gets a little bit dicier, but that doesn't mean it's over.
No, it does not. Greninja going down there is rough. And Ravage does find Sushi as well. Now both healers down for Battalion. You got to figure Carnage now completely in control here, Dor. And Battalion right now is completely on the back foot as Carnage continues to drive them away. You know, there was, what, 3 minutes, 30 seconds here? Or about 5 minutes, 30 seconds after point one. You know, Carnage has really buttoned it up here as this has been going on, and you're definitely impressed here, especially by the play of Kip. Kip has been really strong on that Ana, already very close to another nano boost, which is going to go obviously to Ravage again. But it's just great ult going to Carnage.
Great boost as well by Green Ninja. Just shuts down the entire nano boost, and now a counter, you know, nade thrown out just denies any more healing. Battalion. Not really another way in. You used your, use a blade, just get whatever you can. You've been nano this one just to be 100% sure about it. With 49 seconds on the clock, you're not even mad about that. You still got a pulse bomb, you still got a rally. There's plenty of tools.
There's lots of tools. This is a great spot right now for Carnage. Carnage has been very, I mean, it's very formulaic the way they're playing it right now. They're playing fantastic. The macro, we talked about how strong the macro game from Battalion on last map. This is just great, strong defensive Overwatch from Carnage. They're using ultimates effectively, securing fights. They're making sure they...
Scary, little spooky, but an engagement nevertheless has been found. Green Ninja pops first rally, Sia pops the second. Slightly better for Carnage, but nevertheless the fight that should net result in not too many people going down early. Now things get messy though as Ravage makes their way into the back line. They've got the Primal Rage to play off the backup, and so they can go real aggressive in here, immediately running down the supports, pushing this poor, oh my god, defenseless grandmother into a corner. Sushi somehow escapes. No, with 50 health left, they go down eventually, and that push alone is enough to pull players off of the cart and identify players on the cart for the remaining players of Battalion that were still there, where they could just focus them down easily.
You know, they are continuing to get some point progression, however, because Carnage has kind of been a little bit staggered out, but Apollo right now manages to get back into the mech after the missed bomb, and that's going to enable Apollo to get actually a DMAC kill or a remake kill as well. But Star Platinum goes in with the Halo Blade, and it just doesn't pan out, and this is just a good, strong fight here from Carnage. And it looks like Carnage is in control, but
they've got a main tank, it's just main tank difference. Right. Nick's not contested. It's another one of those ones where it's like it looks really even on paper, but between spawns and everything, this is a pain in the rear. Holy cow, a rally too? Okay, you get one more release on life here. You're out of leashes after this. It's like the 08 economic crisis. Apollo tries to contest things here, and you know what? They will be all right. Just like the 08 economic crisis, the loans will flop.
Yeah, no bailouts on this one, but as they say, the rent is just too damn high for Carnage, for Battalion.
Oh my god!
Oh my goodness!
Chill out! It's a slow, painful. This has to be what purgatory feels like.
This feels like purgatory, but the sad thing. Oh my god!
Just put them out of their misery.
Okay, Battalion. All right, I'll give you this. You had some heart at the end there. You had some heart, but Carnage. I mean, it's just kind of, you know, for going along with that landlord thing. This is just kind of like when you give the eviction notice like 3 months before the actual eviction. That's basically what that just felt like there, guys. It just was just kind of mean. It just kind of mean-spirited, you know. I mean, the rent is too damn high, anyways, and it just wasn't working out for Battalion, no matter how long that fight went on. But you know, in the end, Battalion, strong push. You got to give it to Carnage, though. So much of this, Carnage could have. So many teams, so many weaker teams, they could have just pulled it over there. You know what I mean? Like, it just said, God, we're just getting beat up again. We're down 2-0. There's no chance we're coming back. But credit to Carnage, they didn't give up on it. And I gotta say, Kip, man, Kip's
a monster.
Kip has been an absolute difference maker for Carnage. You know, obviously Apollo's been fantastic, but I'm blown away by Kip, and that is continuing to be just so impressive right now.
Yeah, and for Carnage, I mean, we're starting to see the story really form itself here. Carnage has had definitively better ultimates. It is not even close. Battalion, on the other hand, have had definitively better compositions, but once Carnage found a composition that made sense, and whether other composition, like, it had more meta heroes, the second composition made more sense, right? It had more tools to win fights, it had a more clear goal in mind, and it had the stats to do so. Once they landed on that, which they're going to be running on the attacking side, things looked a lot better. But now that they don't have that lead in ultimates to kind of pull themselves ahead constantly, things become a little bit more difficult, especially against the likes of an Ashe Torbjorn, a composition that I think is super underrated in the current meta, and on this map can find an insane amount of value.
Absolutely. I love the Torbjorn Ash. We talked about it being so good before, and it's such a great composition on defense. There's just so much. I mean, the Torbjorn is so often underutilized, and I think it's a lot stronger of a hero than we're seeing played very often at this level. But right now, if you're Carnage, you're running again this kind of six-man dive thing.
No, this isn't 6 man.
This is actually just dive. This is just dive. Yeah, I'm sorry. I can't read. That's my fault. I'm sorry, everybody. I can't read.
No, but I mean, you can see the position it puts them in, right? They're here to farm nano. They do exactly that. Kip's now got the nano, and now you engage. Everything's going to plan here for Carnage. They force sports off the high ground. Immortality Field's now out. Forget the force down to the lower edge of those dire docks. But this ain't Super Mario 64. This is Overwatch, and you can come back from said docks. Now, taking their position on the point are Battalion. They've got tank ultimates of their own charged up, and they're using them to great effect. PK finding 3, and Battalion revolt and fight back.
What an impressive play there from PDK. I mean, Battalion in general did a pretty good job of absorbing that dive. It looked like it was slowly but surely working in the favor of Carnage. But credit to PDK, got a huge lift on both of the supports and took both of them out of the game. And once that happened for Carnage, it was just over. They could not put out the damage needed anymore, or they could not take the chances they could before when they had all those supports up. And when you're playing this dive composition where you're all in, if you don't have that Ana or that Brigida healing, you're just done. And very effective there from PDK.
Yeah, it's not often that you see Nanoblade come out from this composition. I do think this is one of those times where it would be fairly optimal for them to run it. But it's, oh no! Everything was perfect. Oh, this is great positioning as well. Look at this. Tomikin not giving him any space, immediately closing him. You lose one player, and the rest of them fall like dominoes.
Good. Yeah. I have nothing to add to that. That was just impressive.
The nano boost as well was going to be perfectly timed with the blade. And in fact, it is here, but now the positioning is different. Now Battalion have ultimates. I don't think it's the right choice.
Oh, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly here. I don't know, man. It's a tough spot right now for Carnage. I think Battalion right now is in just too strong control here. We're going to see the nano boost. I wonder if do they mix it up and go with the nano blade? I kind of hope not, but at the same time, you never know here. They could. I think you just run the. Oh boy!
This is weird.
Oh,
okay, Winston tried. I think the Winston was going to get nano, but the Winston got bonked back. The Genji says, "Put me in, coach." Jumps up with the nano blade. Look, I'm gonna give him benefit of the doubt and assume that the nano blade was the initial called play there. But there is a very real reality where Ravage was supposed to receive that nano, and that was done on the fly. Huge credit to Kip for having comp in the team, but this fight is not over yet. Tomikin's alive on point. Greninja doesn't have rally, though. Yeah, no,
this one's done here. Greninja with topping the rally nonetheless, but I think is kind of fruitless with all of Carnage ready to...
What the hell?
What just happened there?
You're still going for it. Why are we... Battalion! Remember we were talking about Battalion just misusing ultimates left, right, and center? This really feels like that comes to fruition. There's no way you win this fight.
No, I agree. I think there's an absolute 0% chance as well. Ravage uses the Primal Rage as well to help block this one down. We see the Torbjorn as well. But it's just, I think right now, the ultimates are still coming in. There's the players!
There's no way you fight this back.
There's no way.
Okay.
No way! But
you don't deserve this fight. Like, okay. Credits to Battalion did a great job of finding the picks there once they had the players back in. There was a great job of finishing it off, but the target focus from Carnage was not enough.
No, Carnage just got too comfy there. I think they thought they had that under control, and it was started off so good for them, but it just all went so bad so quickly. And I mean, credit to the heart of Battalion not giving up on that fight, but for Carnage, you got to find those picks. You got to finish the fight. You can't just rest on the opening picks there, and we saw what happened. They got the opening picks, but Battalion just answered it every single time. It was just Carnage doing what they needed to do to take this, or Carnage doing what they needed to do to get the opening pick off. Battalion never quit on it, and where that it's tough to just figure out because Battalion so many questionable choices on their ultimates at times, so many questionable compositional choices at times as well. But in the end, we see Battalion now sitting up 3-0, and quite frankly, it's been kind of one-sided ever since map 1 here, Dor.
Yeah, there's points where you can see there's an advantage, but it's getting there that's the hard part for Carnage right now, because in order for them to use their ultimates, in order for them to put themselves in that position where that smarter usage of ultimates and better usage of ultimate economy, you've got to win the ultimate economy first.
Yes.
And Battalion are putting them in a position where you can never do that. They're never letting him get ahead. Even there on that last point, I think one big reason that makes that recontest somewhat okay. Because I think it's not a bad decision, but it's a decision that you most of the time wouldn't make. When you take into consideration that the fact that whenever Carnage have gotten ahead in ultimates, which winning a first point will let you do, they've continued to roll a map. You really want to hold on with every last fiber of your being to that first point, to never let them get ahead. And rightfully so. I mean, they did manage to stop them in their tracks, but even if they had won that, they would have made it expensive.
Exactly. And that's like, it's hard to, I feel like if I was trying to explain this to a person who's never watched Overwatch before and explain why Battalion is winning over Carnage, I feel like you wouldn't really understand it. I feel like the high level play that we're seeing from Carnage or from Battalion on just a micro level in so many cases has been just better on so many occasions. But we're seeing some questionable decision making at times from Carnage, especially in the mid fight. You know, they're winning the opening fight so often, but the mid fight has been rough for them, and they haven't. And oftentimes that could just come down to communication. You know, obviously the fight planning has been good for Carnage. It's been
great.
It's been really good, and they have taken great angles. They found great opportunities. You know, even when they were struggling in Volskaya, we commented on how great their rotations were to isolate out the main tanks and the tank line of Battalion. But the problem is you have to do more than just win the first moment. You have to win every part of it, and we didn't see that from Carnage here. They weren't winning at every stage of the fight. It was just Carnage the whole way, or it was just Battalion the whole way after that initial pick, turning it around. And so often tonight, we have said the name over and over again, it's been PDK. And we saw that again here on this map. PDK found huge pickoffs when they absolutely needed it most, and to credit to PDK, you know, we joke about him oftentimes in the Tranquility community as a DPS junk one trick.
Is PDK the super of the Trank community?
I don't even want to say that.
He's the butt end of the butt end of every
existence.
single joke. I'm not saying this for any single reason. I want PDK, get that out of your mouth. But he's the butt end of every single joke, and yet continues to just perform. Like, we'll joke about him being on tank, and then he comes and does this. Like, I'm not sure he can do much wrong.
No, I would.
Now it's time for him to retire.
I am honestly I've been really impressed. I will say I've just been impressed. You know, at times the individual play is so big and so critical right there. I just don't know. I don't have the words.
I mean, I know how to sum this up. I mean, we've had so many great things to say about Carnage, but it's always just been one step that Battalion are ahead, right? Yeah. Carnage has had the most incredible pre-fight planning. Their ideas of what they want to do are correct. They're solving a lot of these problems in kind of roundabout ways, right? We're taking the wrong comp, but we're taking that wrong comp the right way. They had a Mei, and they knew they had to close the gap on a comp that was never going to let them close the gap, but they took the right way to close the gap and at least get it close to doing so. But every single time there's one thing out of order. And even on that final fight on Blizzard World, I mean, it looked so good. The Nanoblade, even if it was kind of last second, if it was last second, it was probably even more impressive above everything else. But then cleaning up the fight becomes a problem. It's just, we're skipping a step every single time, but everything else from Carnage looks perfect. It's just, they're missing a puzzle piece.
Exactly.
The box is one short.
Right. No, I would agree with that. The box has just been, it has been a situation where they're just not finishing the job. You know, to credit to Carnage, I feel like they've looked really good at times all night. It's not like this has been a situation where they're just purely being outplayed, but if you lose the mid fight over and over again, like we're seeing from Carnage tonight, it doesn't matter, you know, how good your opening is. In the end, you got to make the plays. You got to win those defining moments of each encounter.
If they get one more time to define their name, they get this Junkertown map.
Yes.
Let's zoom in on this, because this is Carnage's real opportunity. Playing this double shield, putting Nick and Gap in. These DPS get an opportunity to show their worth with Arid out on side lane and nothing to stop this headshot from coming through. It's only a matter of time before it connects. Now Battalion have a lot of space to work with and some fantastic angles onto the tanks, and the likes of Carnage are now forced back. The Apollo, the first one down. The Orisa forced all the way back. Battalion widen their angle again to open up. Greninja now. Sushi laying in the hurt. Star Platinum as well, getting in on the action as the cart continues to progress unhaltered through A.
A really good play there right now from Battalion. The push through is on. PDK leading the way, leading the charge again for
He's
Battalion.
gonna push the whole map without the cart.
Who needs a cart right now if you're PDK? I mean, PDK is just like we made the joke about his license right now, but he's just this is just insane. It's just he's in such control right now of this entire game flow. It feels like he cannot be Okay,
that's
Star
not PDK.
Platinum.
That's
that wasn't PDK. That was Star Platinum making, some people might say it was a questionable choice, and they would be correct. They would be correct in saying that.
This positioning from PDK as well. Playing
Yes.
over on the left side here. Playing this off angle with Sigma is really powerful. There's not many ways to approach it from this spawn. You are just dead in the water. You can shot out by 2 angles. Maybe a matrix your way up. Never mind. Dude, this is a slaughter. Carnage is living up to their name in the fact that all there is blood and guts.
It really is true. I mean, we talk about the positioning, and thanks to that awesome picture-in-picture, by the way, you got to see this, how well-positioned Battalion was. They had the entirety of this high ground covered, and again, like, look at them pushing forward. Like, they have such absolute map control right now. This is optimal play from Battalion. They are in complete map control. Every high ground angle is in control. You have Star Platinum in the backline. This is just textbook. This is textbook play for Battalion right now, and it just continues. PDK is just an unstoppable force, Dor. It is insane.
No, he's not unstoppable. He waited patiently for the door to open, and then continued.
That's true. Okay, yes.
He's a respectful young man.
Yes, he didn't break down. To his credit, he did wait for the door. You ring the doorbell. You wait till they answer, and they did. Very polite, but it's just he's at the spawn door, guys.
It's like a vampire. Once you let him in, it's over.
I don't know how to answer what is happening with PDK. It's just, oh god.
When was the last time you saw a 5-minute, 45-second time bank coming into C on Junkertown?
You know, it's rare.
It's been a minute.
It's rare. It's been a hot minute, but it's just. But I feel like we've seen this from Battalion like tonight. It's just their payload maps are such a different beat than other maps because they come so often down to pacing, to controlling the tempo of this entire of just of just every single fight, taking space, getting angles. It just they're just running it perfectly, and that's to credit to Battalion. The chemistry that they're showing here is just insane. And Air finds another kill. It's just Bizarre. I don't know what to say.
Star Platinum. I start getting out as well. Ultimates are up for both sides. This is the first real opportunity. I mean, we've talked about ultimates being the bread and butter of Carnage all night. They finally have their ultimates up 3 points later on Junkertown, and they're using them very effectively. The Dragons put the cart nicely, now regrouping off the back of the Amplification Matrix, but the positioning is what fails them this time. The Orisa trying so hard to stay on that high ground, not regrouping with the Sigma, who's so much further back. It puts them in a really awkward position where now you have an Orisa, but you don't have any sports. You have a Sigma, but you won't have an Orisa by the time that he spawns back in. And Battalion know exactly how to roll these spawns and make it a real problem for them.
Absolutely. Battalion is just, again, just absolutely in control of the tempo here. There's basically been about an 8-minute stagger right now for Carnage, and the stagger just continues. The cart is a quarter of a meter away, and the cart is mercifully now at the end. And I mean, Nora, this is a clinic. This is just an absolute clinic from Battalion, and by far one of the more impressive performances I've seen here casting these Transcendence tier matchups.
No, Battalion look like just unstoppable, and now on the defense is going to get even harder. I kind of pinned Battalion. I thought they were going to bring out the Hog Sigma for that final point, but they break out the double shield. They're just like, they're not taking anything. They're not giving Carnage anywhere room to play with. There's no like, we're going to play the fun Hog Sigma comp, and even though Hog Sigma, very valid comp on this map, you know, it's not quite as dead as, you know, in the lock as a double shield is for Battalion. They just lock it in and do the same thing they have the entire night. And it feels like that gap's beginning to widen. Not even beginning. It is ending widening right now. 325 is absurd, Eddie.
Exactly. I mean, I have to give so much credit to Battalion right now because it's a situation where you're already up 3-0 in a match. You very easily could just kind of meme and pull your foot off the pedal a little bit.
They pulled no punches yet.
They pulled 0 punches. If anything, they're punching harder. Like they see weakness and they are just absolutely collapsing on it. And honestly, I mean, maybe Carnage just not want to get out of there. And I honestly, right now I don't necessarily blame them if they didn't want to stay in there.
Just put 6 people in that small room and
Just stay there. Wait it out about 4 minutes here, but they are gonna walk out of spawn, and they are bringing out start up your Pirates of the Caribbean theme song, everybody, because here we go. We're not gonna sing it though, because we're not trying to get DMCA here, okay? But we have Booth in our ears singing it right now, taunting all of us here, Dor. No, that's too much DMCA.
It doesn't stop until the card stops, Yeti.
All right,
They were the best pirates I've ever seen. But now they're back in spawn.
This quality casting is what you can find every day here at Tranquility Gaming, everybody.
They won't let me use the kazoo in contenders, so
No, I can't imagine why. Maybe I was just worried. I was sitting here thinking, like, I was just watching, Twitch mods just sitting there, just like, we're gonna get him here. We're gonna get him. Yes, bring me Tranquility Gaming. What? That's all right. Anyway, Battalion. Dor, this is descended into chaos right now.
they're still on the Bastion.
They are.
I got mad respect for Carnage right now. They're out there. They've got the pirate shit comp, but Battalion are pulling it apart piece by piece, and now with an amplification. Oh, wait. Oh, PDK just killed himself.
PDK, why?
I don't even think. Wait, I'm not sure that was on purpose. Because he got domed by something. I'm pretty sure Nick. And then I think he might have accidentally shot the guy. That might have been not on purpose. The world will never know, but PDK has to live it down.
No, PDK is going to have to live with that one. I don't know what exactly happened. But the Dragon Strike comes through now for Battalion, and Helm is on point here. Pops the air. You have anything to say about that, too? Yes.
Not exactly. Oh! Okay, wait. Gap.
Whoa,
the
gap.
gap.
Okay.
Gap.
It is a
Gap.
gap. It looks like. Oh, but Gap is taken down by Helm.
He's too dangerous on the Bastion. Can't even withstand himself.
That's why he hadn't gotten off yet. He's just too strong. The Bastion difference is huge right now.
If only he could stay in transformation tank the entire time.
It's true, and we see a huge lift from Apollo. Apollo hasn't really played the signal much tonight here, trying to show PDK up a little bit perhaps. So that was a great lift, killing PDK as well. I feel like a lot of shenanigans and chicanery are occurring here, Dor. I don't know what you think.
I see Battalion thriving in this chaos. Carnage can try. Gap swapped over to a fist, but yeah, a team wipe. You can see in the picture here, it's only red players, which means that Carnage are not doing too hot.
True. It's not going great for Carnage right now. There's a minute left on the clock. Battalion getting close to ultimates. Kip finding only the fist.
That? Wait, where were they? I can't see the ball anywhere. Was that in their own spawn?
I genuinely don't know.
Was Kip on the flank?
Confused. I mean, Zenyatta on the flank. I play a lot of gold games, so maybe I could see it. So I'm just saying, it's not outside the realm of possibility here. The bomb goes down from Telm. Are we going to see a real engagement here, or are we expecting more silliness? I can't tell.
I expect Carnage win this. I have faith.
You have faith? Carnage,
raise your channel points. They can do it. They can do it 5v6 without Transcendence now.
Yes, channel points on the line here. Get your the bets. I'm sure. I don't know. The betters remorse here, perhaps, for Carnage fans. But it's looking rough here, Dor.
Okay, Apollo kill 6.
Apollo's done a lot today, but there's no pulse bombs to eat right now. So
I mean, you can get to this card, but again, the high ground's uncontested. This is a bit of a problem here. Battalion now making their final stand. Air down. Nick now has free range. Carnage beginning to make this push. And they wide. Oh no!
No, you forgot something, Carnage. You forgot something.
Every single time, Yeti, it's one mistake. It is one thing that makes the difference. The fight went completely correct. Every last piece of that fight was correct. Well, one thing comes and bites them in the rear end. You wouldn't be
What the heck was that? Oh my god. Oh my god. What is this game? I don't understand what I just witnessed that last map, but I'm so thankful I got to see.
I feel like we really grew together, Yeti. I think we learned a lot about one another. Chat, I'm glad that we're here together as well.
Yes.
You guys, mute, kind of deaf as you're 10 minutes late to the broadcast, but you know what? You're here in spirit.
I hope
this with us.
I hope you all enjoyed that last map as much as we did, because I certainly had fun with it. That was an expression of joy. I feel like more than anything else, that last map. Door. I mean, last map aside, a silliness happened. You gotta just say, Battalion. You gotta give respect where it's due. They won every fight. At mid-fight onward, it felt like was just Battalion in control. Individual playmaking was off the charts strong from them. And I think it all just rests on the shoulder of the guy we're seeing on replay right now. It's that leadership from PDK, I feel like just came up huge for Battalion all night tonight.
Yeah, I mean, every time you need an individual play, PDK was there. Start Platinum. Again, hats off. That first map was stellar. It really shows the effect that Doomfist can have on Control Center, especially. I thought that was a masterclass from them. But you look at the other maps, and I think this was, by and large, not an individual gap. This was not a mechanical gap between the teams at all. This was purely theoretical. Battalion were kind of running circles around Carnage and understanding of compositions, what makes them tick, the weaknesses of not only their own composition, but what the enemy was running and how they could really counter that. It came to fruition on Hanamura, especially being able to understand what exactly makes these compositions tick. And they took advantage of it time and time and time again. And you head into that last one, well, I think 100%, it wasn't even close. Carnage were using ultimates better. Got to get a position where that matters. And that just never came up. Battalion understood their advantage and continued to push it. Blizzard World, going all the way back to that final fight on point A was probably the wrong decision in a lot of fronts against. I think you're kind of putting the onus on the other team and saying, hey, we don't think you're good enough to finish this off. But it also was the right choice in that you're not letting Carnage get ultimates up. If Carnage won that fight, they probably still would have been lacking ultimates. Battalion just never wanted to let the game get to that position. Never wanted to get to that question, which is a pretty reasonable gamble to make.
Yeah, and the gamble paid off. You know, they took advantage of some questionable choices by Carnage in that mid-fight phase, and it was just it. In the end, you know, when you look at it, we talked about how strong Battalion was in a macro sense, especially on Hanamura. That Hanamura map was just a clinic. I felt like, despite the fact that that was so close by the actual percentages, it really never felt that close. It's just Carnage, I think, just came up short on that end throughout the night tonight. But you know, you got to give it to the team that stood out the most. And Battalion, I think, they made a statement tonight. You know, I think it was just an absolute statement for Battalion, and it's just a huge win, a massive win against a team that has looked very good so far up to this point. Just did not bring it. It doesn't get any easier for Carnage. Unfortunately, next week they have Decapitators, who are currently undefeated right now and just beat Battalion last week. So does not get any easier for Carnage. Battalion next week, they got Insidious. That's going to be a big matchup for Battalion, trying to push to get into that upper tier, or that upper higher seeds in the playoffs. But Dor, it's been a hell of a night tonight, no question about it. Great. It's been great. A huge shout out to our observers tonight, Hippie, Juke, and Kothar. We had Unfeatured on the production and Booth handling OBS tonight. You guys did all awesome. What a fantastic production, an amazing job from everybody here. And of course, special thanks, Dor. Always a pleasure, man. Always happy to have you.
I miss you guys every time.
Yeah, always happy to have you come back to your roots like this, man.
It's been a blast. The game was amazing. Battalion looked theoretically incredible. Whoever's coaching that team deserves a massive amount of props. They've got just the right amount of star power as well to get them through a lot of those tricky situations. I'm excited to watch them going into the season. Yeah. And Carnage, like I said, they're missing one puzzle piece in the box. But the second it arrives, the second it gets printed, it is over for a lot of people. You can see why they're 6-0 right now. They've got a bright future as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys very much for tuning in. It's been a fantastic night. We certainly appreciate it. Reminder that tomorrow we do have the beat drop immediately following our Discord tier feature match. And that Discord tier feature match is, of course, the team of two teams that I am not prepared to fully say, but that is Fukuoka Queens taking on Space Created. That's going to be at 8:30 Eastern on this very channel. Do not miss that. Two fantastic Discord tier teams going at it tomorrow. And again, beat drop immediately following that.